High sense versus low sense. What are the pros and cons of each, and which one is better? Today everyone, I have Mr. Special Guest Ecstasy. You can check his channel down in the description. Now, he's my longtime Xbox friend, and this man plays on max ALCs. And compared to him, it's pretty safe to say that I play on a low sense. I play 4-3 linear. We're gonna go through a variety of different challenges to figure out what sense is better at doing what. Challenge number 1. I told X that he could only hipfire this game. He said his hipfire was pretty good. We're gonna put it to the test. After we check out high sense hipfire, we're gonna quickly move on to the pros and cons of high sense and low sense. And then after that, we're gonna 1v1 some people who play on extremely high sense, and I'll be the one who's consuming their souls. Low sense compared to high sense, what do you think about it? Give me your opinions.
High sensitivity, you just obviously you get better movement. Like, that's huge. Low sensitivity, dude, you can beam. Like, if you're newer to the game, you definitely want to play on low sensitivity. I would say once you start getting a lot better and improving, high sensitivity has so many benefits.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Here we go. Show me that hipfire close range.
Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, this ain't good.
Stuck in between the car. Now we're looking to Koala's tiny brain. The reason I got X to hipfire is to simply show no matter how insane you are, if you are on max sense, you are putting yourself at a disadvantage when it comes to hitting your shots.
Yeah, you're making me notice that, like, in any fight right there, I would totally ADS.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
right.
Always.
Now, a lot of the time, when you do play on a super high sense and you aren't very good at the game, even if you can ADS, it's going to be harder for you to hit your shots. If you're new to the game, or if you're just not very good at Apex, there is literally 0 point of you playing on a high sense, and X even says this himself.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt for me to say, but, like, as someone who's on max sensitivity, if you're new to the game, 4-3 really is the way to go.
The only reason you probably wouldn't want to be playing on a low sense is for the movement, but honestly, I can still do movement things pretty decently. Obviously not as good as X, but being on 4-3 linear honestly doesn't feel too bad when trying to zipline hop or do other movement related things. No, stop. No. There's no way, bro. They are angry. They are actually angry. Something I did notice when watching Xplay is that he's more consistent with hip firing single fire weapons than he is with fully auto weapons, which is, you know, pretty strange.
It's the first time I've hip fired from this far away. Making me realize I need to hip fire more.
And as you can see from these shots, he has no problem maneuvering the ziplines on a super high sense, and that is 100% where he feels most comfortable, because not only would this be kind of the only time he would ever really hip fire, but this is where fast sense gives you the biggest advantage. Now, the pros and cons of high sense, starting with the pros: you can switch targets quicker, you have better movement, and it just looks better. And the cons: you are inconsistent, it's harder to master, and harder to hip fire. And now the pros and cons of low sense, starting with the pros: having a slower sense would be better for competitive or rank, because you're just going to be more consistent with your shots. It's a lot easier to get used to, and having a low sense is pretty forgiving, so you don't even really need to warm up to be beaming. And the cons of low sense: that you can't switch targets as quickly while ADSing, you have slower movement, well, it's just going to be harder for you to do movement stuff, and fast sense just looks so much better. Now, this is the time of the video where I do 1v1s against max sense players. Here we go. My opponent number 1 was Spooky. Now, Spooky plays on a lower sense than X, but he still plays 500 pitch and like 390 yaw or something. The score was pretty even up until we got to the hip fires, which is where the high sense players struggled the most. But it's kind of weird, because even though they are on a very high ADS speed, which is like I think 190 or something, they can still beam pretty well at distance. So to not drag this video any longer than it should be, I personally recommend you playing on a lower sense just for that consistency, but again, it is completely up to you. But if you aren't very good at Apex and you do play on a high sense, I highly recommend you turn that down. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one, and take care.